Have you ever wondered how some advertisers make their ads look like this or like this? Those extra features are called ad extensions, and they can be an absolute game changer for your ad performance if you set them up the correct way. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the different types of extensions, how to use them, and when to use them. And if you stick around until the end, I'll talk about an extension that can often double your CTR. Hey everyone, it's Axel here, and in today's video I'm going to talk about Google Ad extensions, when to use them, and how to set them up. To find extensions within a campaign, what you want to do is you want to select a campaign, and then from there select assets. So extensions used to be called extensions. They're now actually called assets. So what you want to be doing to find these assets is you want to click on your assets tab right here and select this button right here. And from there you will see all the assets that are previously set up in your account. And this might be blank if you don't have any of them set up yet. So an extension is essentially just an extra piece of information that you are tying to your ad, and this can come in the form of a callout, a site link, structured snippets, pricing, images, and a couple other ones as well. So they can come in many different forms, but the whole purpose of them is to increase the probability of people clicking on your ad. And so the first one I'm going to talk about is the most important one, and those are called site links. So a site link is a smaller sublink that you can set up that'll show up right below your ad. So the best way to explain this is just to show you what it looks like. So if I were to type in moving company Vancouver, I can see that this is the first ad that comes up, and you can see that below this ad, this is also part of the ad. So request a quote, local moving, and long distance moving. These are known as site links. And so what they are is they are sublinks that you set up below your ad. And if you were to click on one, it'll bring you to a more specific part of the website. And so these can be very useful for two main reasons. Number one is it's a good way to direct traffic to a more relevant part of your website if that traffic wants to do so in the first place. And this can often eliminate some of the steps in the process in order for them to convert into a result, whether that's a purchase or a lead. So it's a good way to essentially segment your traffic and bring them to where they are looking for more specifically in a more efficient way. The second benefit to using them is they essentially make your ad take up more space. So you can see in this example right here that this guy right here is running an ad. And if you weren't using site links, it would be taking up about this much space. Whereas now with the site links, he's getting now about double the ad space just by using these site links. And so this is great because it gives your impressions a higher chance of actually just seeing your ad and noticing your ad, which usually results in a higher likelihood of them clicking on your ad. Also, because of this, since it's taking up more space, your impressions will have less of a chance to click on your competitor's ad. So notice how this guy down here is all the way down here. And if these site links weren't here, it would probably come up here with potentially a third ad down here. And so now because he's using these site links, we're only seeing his ad with one competitor ad as opposed to two. And so this also increases the likelihood of them clicking on your ad. So with that being said, the overall goal by using these is number one, to bring your traffic to a more relevant place if that's what they want to do. And number two, to increase the CTR on your ads because you're essentially taking up more space. And so to set one of these up, what you want to do is you want to go into your assets tab and click plus create asset. And specifically, there are different levels that you can set up a site link to. So you can set it up to your account level where the site link will populate on every single one of your ads. You can set it up to the campaign level where the site link will be attached to every single ad within that campaign, or you can set it up to a ad group level where it will only be tied to that specific ad group. In this example, let's say I wanted to tie this about page to this property management company that I'm running ads for, to specifically just this campaign right here. So what I would want to do is select this campaign and not select an ad group because I want it to be tied to all my ad groups. And what I would do from here is I'd click on the blue plus button right here and click on site link. And now what's going to come up is it's going to prompt you to essentially create your site link, where the top part essentially prompts you to add it to that specific level. I said I wanted to add it to the campaign, but if you wanted to add it to the ad group level, you can also do so right here. Same thing with the account level, but for this one, I just want to tie it to just that campaign. For a site link, it will ask you for a headline, a description, a second description, and finally a final URL. So where are you taking that traffic to? Let's say I wanted to have a site link for this about page right here. It would make sense for me to label the site link text as about or about us or something of the sort. And then from there, I could add a description. I can put learn more about today's host. And so I could use that as a description. And for now, I'm going to skip the second description line. But if you had a second description in mind that you wanted Google to test, that's where you would add that right here. Just keep in mind that you are limited to 35 characters right there. Back to my moving company example, this site link, if this were to be live, my headline to the site link would be about us. The description on these site links specifically are not shown right now, but if they were, they would be shown right under request a quote. This guy is potentially not using descriptions in his site link, or Google is just simply choosing not to show them right now. But finally, for the final URL, that's essentially where you're bringing the traffic to once they click on your site link. I want the traffic to end up on this about page. So what I would do is I would copy and paste the URL into my final URL and then click on save. And then from there, I would have a site link set up to my ad. Keep in mind that you can set up also more than one site link. So let's say I wanted to have a site link for the homepage, one for the luxury rental homes, and one for the concierge service. I could have them set up as my second, third, fourth site link down here, click save, and just like that, I would essentially have 4 site links created attached to this campaign. And so that's how you set up a site link. Now you might be wondering, when should I use this? My advice would be to always use site links except for one specific use case. And that would be specifically when you're driving traffic to a landing page where there aren't any links on that landing page. So a landing page that has a pretty aggressive approach, which is a landing page when someone lands on the landing page, they can either complete the action you want them to complete or they can just leave. And so in a case like this, you would not want to set up a site link because all you're doing at that point is you're distracting your traffic and you're going to be bringing them somewhere else, which makes them harder to actually convert into that lead or the purchase that you're going for. And so in a specific use case like this, I would recommend that you don't use them. Google will often recommend that you do use it, but if you're running traffic specifically to one landing page where you're just trying to get one result in mind and not get any of your traffic distracted by browsing on different pages, then don't use site links. So that's it for site links. The next type of extension I'm going to talk about is a callout extension. And so a callout is either a one word or a short sentence that comes up after the description of your ad. So I can see in this example right here that this would be my headline to the ad. This would be his description right here, whereas this short sentence, reasonable pricing and free estimates, these are what are known as callout extensions. And so these are useful for 2 main reasons. Number one, they're great for calling out something specific about your business. So usually this is a value proposition, whether you have a free estimate, get a free quote, 24-hour service, a discount, or a flash sale or something of the sort, you would want to use a call out to mention this in your ad. They're also useful because just like site links, they do make your ad take up more space. And so with the use of call outs, what can often happen is your description might end up being 3 sentences long instead of 2 sentences. And just a small difference will make your ad take up more space. It'll make your competitors show less easily below you, and it'll probably increase the likelihood of someone clicking on your ad. And so to set one of these up is super easy as well. All you do is you select essentially the level you want to do this on. So whether that's the account, the campaign, or the ad group level, just like the site link I described before. And then let's say I wanted to select it just on the campaign level. What I would do is I would click on plus and I would click on call out. And then from here, double checks that I'm adding this to the campaign level. So I want to leave this as it is. And then from there, I start adding my call out text. So keep in mind that you are limited to 25 characters, but you can add a bunch of different call outs to your ad. So this is where you would essentially be adding your value propositions to your ads, whether that's something like 24-hour service, or if you're doing e-commerce and you have a special discount that's, let's say, 20% off all store items, or if you include something like, let's say, free shipping, or anything that you would consider to be a short, punchy value proposition that adds a reason for people to click on your ad, this is essentially where you would be adding it in. So let's say I had these 3 that were tied to my business. I'd be adding them as callouts right here. Click save, and then from there onwards, what would happen is these would show up after the description on my ad for this campaign. So you might also be wondering, when should you use these? I honestly just recommend you use these every single time you run ads. In most cases, whatever business you're running, chances are that you probably do have a value proposition to offer to your potential customers, and you might as well use the callouts to showcase that. So if you can use the callouts, you probably should. I'm now going to move on to the next extension, which is called a structured snippet, which is very similar to a callout. And so a structured snippet is very similar to a callout, but the key difference being that you're restricted to a specific category. So to explain what I mean here, I'm just going to set one up. So I'm going to click on plus and click on structured snippet. And then from here, I'm prompted to select my structured snippet. So just like the callouts, you can see that here's where I would input my structured snippet text. And this would again show up after the description of the ad. The key difference being though that notice how you have to select a header type for this. And so for a structured snippet, you will be restricted to a specific category. And so depending on the business that you're advertising, the one you will select will be different, but chances are that one of these in this list, there's probably about 15 of them, will apply to yours. And so what you want to do is just correctly select the one that you think you can showcase the most value out of on your ad to your potential customers. So let's say I'm running ads again for this property management group. A good one for me to pick would be neighborhoods, like which neighborhoods in the town can he manage the different properties in. And then from there, I could add essentially my neighborhood 1 right here, where neighborhood 1 would be a name of a neighborhood, followed by my second one right here, and followed by my third one right here, and so on. And so what would happen is I would have my ad headline, then my description, and then followed right after the descriptions would be my neighborhood. So again, just like callouts, this is a great way to add more extra information to the potential people clicking on your ad, increasing the likelihood of them clicking on your ad, which should technically bump up your CTR if you use these. And again, just like a site link or a call out, these do also make your ad take up more space. And so the likelihood of someone clicking on your ad and not on a competitor's ads is higher because of you using this. With that being said, for the same reasons as the call outs, my recommendation would be to use these every single time you're running ads within Google. So that's it for call outs and site links. Before we move on, if you like this video so far, be sure to give this video a like and a subscribe. That way you're updated on all my future videos to come. Now, the next extension I'm going to talk about is a call extension. So a call extension is what gives you the ability to add your phone number to your ad. That way people can directly give you a call as opposed to clicking on your ad and then giving you a call from the website. So it makes it a more direct way of someone directly calling you if you want to get direct phone calls from your ads. And so this can be super useful for lead generation based businesses, because instead of going through the whole process of driving the traffic to your website, generating the lead, and then you reaching out first, you're essentially now giving the ability of them reaching out to you, and they don't even have to go to the website in the first place in order to do so. Depending on the business type that you're in, I don't always recommend that you use this. So let's say you're running a big e-commerce store, you don't necessarily want to have your phone number there, because if you're a big brand making multiple purchases a day off of your ads, you don't necessarily want to be just taking a bunch of phone calls from people. You essentially just want to probably be driving that traffic to directly be making a purchase off your website. And so you maybe don't want to be wasting your time with people calling you. So this one's relatively easy to set up as well. What you want to do is you want to click on the plus button right here and click on call extension. Now, most of the time when I set one of these up, I will actually select the account level, because if I'm doing a lead generation based business and my client wants to have a call extension attached to his ads, chances are that his phone number is the exact same thing for all of the campaigns that we're running, and therefore I can attach the same number to all of my campaigns at once. However, if you have different phone numbers, or if you only want that call extension to be assigned to one specific campaign, then don't select the account number, but usually I like to pick this option. The next thing you have to do is just write down what your phone number is, and specifically where that phone number is from. Right here, I'm advertising a Canadian company, so what I would do is I select Canada from the list right here. From there, I would type in my client's phone number right here. Let's say it's this. And then from there, if I click save, this phone number would then come up as an option for someone to click on directly to give a phone call on my ad. The one thing I'd like to mention for you to keep in mind is I would suggest that you keep your phone number looking like the example they give you down here. So instead of just adding your number right here, add the brackets right here, and then add the dash right here. And that's simply because it just makes your phone number look a little bit more readable, and it's a more professional way to write down a phone number as opposed to a block of 10 numbers in a row. It just looks a little bit nicer. So that's all I have to say for the call extension. The next one I'm going to talk about can potentially double your CTR, so make sure you pay attention and that you apply this to your account, and that would be the image extension. Now, it's worth noting before I talk about this that not everyone can use an image extension. Usually, and it depends on the account, you sometimes have to run ads for a minimum of 30 to 90 days before you are allowed to use this. But if you see it as an option when you click your plus button and you see image come up here as an option, that means you can use it. And if you see this come up, make sure you use this every single time. And so these are a more recent addition to Google Ads. Image extensions were maybe introduced about 2 to 3 years ago now, as opposed to some of these which have been around for about 10 plus years. And what they do is they allow you to add an image to your ad. So essentially an image would come up beside your ad. So back to my example right here, I can see that this guy is using an image extension because he has an image attached to his ad, whereas this ad right here does not, because he does not have an image right next to his ad. And so you want to use these because these generally make your ad look a lot more appealing. And so generally speaking, when you have an image or a nice visual that is attached to your ad, the likelihood of someone wanting to click on that ad as opposed to an ad without one is significantly higher. And I've seen this time and time again on pretty much every single account I've managed ads on. I've never seen a negative result from adding an image extension. It will often significantly increase the CTR on your ads, often doubling or more the CTR on your ads. They also make your ad take up more space in a horizontal way, which also increases the likelihood of someone actually seeing your ad and clicking on it as well, which should also increase the CTR. And so to set one of these up, what you want to do, like always, is you want to select the level you want to set it up on. So let's say I wanted to select the campaign level for this. I would select my campaign with no ad group selected, and I would click on plus and click on image. And from here, I would double check that this is specifically added to my campaign level. And from here, it'll prompt you to add an image. So I can click on plus image right here, and I can upload one directly from my computer. So let's say this one right here. And then from there, you can select the different ratios as well to your ad. So depending on which device is seeing the ad, you're giving Google multiple different formats and ways to show this image attached to your ad. So what I want to do is select these two different ratios and make sure that it's just cropped in a way that looks nice to the eye. So this is a pretty square image to start. So for my square ratio, I don't have much wiggle room to change this. I can, however, zoom in a little bit. So if I want more of the focus to be on the house right here, then I could drag it like this. And then I also have my horizontal options. So I don't think that something like this would look very nice or something like this would look very nice, but maybe something more in the middle like this would potentially look nicer. So whatever it is you're doing, make sure that the photo that you're choosing can look good as a square format and also as a landscape format. And once you have both of those, make sure that you're just correctly cropping these in a way that you think looks the nicest. And once that's done, you essentially select the two ratios and then click on save down here. And so once you have that, you would then click save. And then from there, this image extension would then be added to this campaign. So whenever an ad would show up, that image of the house I just added would be shown side by side to the ad and the search results. And so just like structured snippets and callouts, I recommend that you use this pretty much for every single one of your campaigns. I've never seen it fail. It pretty much will always increase your CTR. So make sure to use these if you are eligible within your account to use them. Now for the final two extensions I'll talk about, those are the logo and the business name extensions. And so I'm mentioning these at the end because you do have to get your account verified before you can actually use these. So if your account is not verified, this will not show up as an option. And if your account is not verified as a basic, here's how to do that. You would essentially go down to your billing section right here and click on advertiser verification. This account right here is verified. However, if your account was not verified, Google would essentially have a button to click here where it would prompt you for a task where you would essentially have to upload your driver's license and a couple pieces of information about your business, then wait 2 to 3 days to get approved. And then from there, your ad account would get verified. So now assuming that your account is verified, here's what both of these do. The logo extension allows you to have the logo on the top left of your ad, whereas the business name allows you to have your business name in the way you want it to be shown at the top of your ad as opposed to just your website. Here I typed in handyman in Vancouver. Right here, I can see that this guy right here is using a logo extension because I can see his logo in this small bubble right here, where someone who is not using a logo extension, by default, this little planet Earth gray icon will be shown instead. Whereas the business name extension, what happens if you don't use this is at the top right here, by default, your website domain name will be added as your business name. Whereas these people up here are actually using a business name extension. And what will happen is your business name, as opposed to the default of your URL being shown, you will then have your business name shown up here instead. And so what these essentially do is they just add a bit of legitimacy to your ad, and it just adds a little bit of trust right off the bat before people actually click on your ad. So for that reason, if your account is verified, I also recommend that you pretty much always use these. And so to set them up, it's the same process as before. I would essentially click on plus right here. Let's do the logo one first. I would click on business logo. For this specifically, I usually pretty much always click the account level because generally speaking, your business logo will not change depending on the different campaigns that you're running. So you'd want to click on account level. And then from there, it's just like an image extension. You would essentially select an image, upload that image, which is essentially your logo, crop it correctly, and then click save. For the business name, it's a similar process to a call out. So I would click on plus right here and click on business name instead. I would also make sure that this is added to my account name. And then here is where I would essentially add my business name. So I would just put that right here and click save. And now as you can see, it would show up as this on top of my display URL in my ad if I were to apply this. And so just like images, callouts, and structured snippets, for both of these, if your account is verified, I suggest that you use these every single time for every single one of your ad campaigns. And so that's it for today's video on ad extensions. By following all of these steps, you should now be able to set up multiple different types of extensions to your ads, which should increase your visibility, add more information about your product or service, and overall just increase the likelihood of people clicking on your ad in the first place. If you're having trouble setting up ad extensions, or if you just wanted me to manage your ads for you, as always, you can just feel free to book a call with me using the link in the description below. And if you have any further questions about any of the extensions I mentioned today, feel free to drop that in the comments as well. Apart from that, hopefully you got something out of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.